Blog Talk Radio.
Namaste, folks. Welcome to Nature of Reality Radio. It is November 4th, 2015. This is your host, Andrew Fisher, broadcasting Wednesdays from the suburbs of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to expose the true and false nature of reality for what it is and what it isn't. On the show today, I have someone who I met at the recent Mount Shasta conference, Diana Gaisis, who is a clear transmitter of higher cosmic energies with direct connection to angelic and universal light realms. Diana leads international workshops, groups transmissional healing activations, DNA sessions, and opens Spheres of Love, a healing modality new to the earth. As a spiritual healer for over 30 years, Diana offers advanced energy healing sessions over Skype or phone worldwide. Her site, dianagaisis.com, which is actually one of three sites that I have listed here in the video bio that you guys can check out. I'll be using them as guides throughout the course of the show. But dianagaisis.com offers high-frequency healing tools to help our selves and pets' bodies balance, heal, and integrate the new energies at this time. Media background includes an executive position for CBS, hosting TV series Gazes into the Future, featured in hundreds of TV, radio, book, magazine, internet interviews, and is currently developing new media projects supporting the awakening of conscious evolution. As a firm believer of direct experience, Diana has taught millions how to bend the spoon in union with the power of the mind, heart, and spirit, and she lives on the slopes of Mount Shasta, California, the root chakra of Mother Earth. And I'm not going to read her phone number out loud here, but her phone number is in the bio here, and it's for those who wish to speak to her for both info on products, on websites, and her healing sessions. I do see area code 512 here in the queue. That is probably her. But before getting her on the air, I will start with the news, as usual, courtesy of Alex Jones and Company at InfoWars. First article. United States says ISIS bomb probably took down Russian airliner, an explosive device possibly planted in the luggage. Yes, the United States, who runs ISIS, would, of course, say ISIS probably took down the Russian airliner, and perhaps ISIS did take down the Russian airliner. No shock there, but since the U.S. government publicly runs ISIS, which for all intents and purposes is the same as Al-Qaeda, we cannot help but wonder if this was some sort of a plot of the United States to stop the Russians from delaying the United States government's plan and, in turn, the New World Order's plan into destroying Syria, or, well, not destroying, should I say, bad usage of words there, but taking out Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad so they can put in someone who they will do a better job of forwarding the New World Order's dirty deeds and further the agenda that they want to further in Syria and the rest of the Middle East. They want a third world war in the Middle East would be a hotspot for it, but that shouldn't happen. The New World Order's fallen apart too much, but still, that's no excuse to slack off in this time where Obama has sent more troops to Syria because of a lie. So let's not let them get away with it, or we're going to have Iraq all over again. Next article, Gloria Steinem, you're racist if you attack Planned Parenthood, Gloria Steinem says. The Planned Parenthood, founded by a racist and aborts a disproportionate number of African Americans. Yes, in my interview with vaccine expert about the dangers of vaccines, Leslie Manookian, she talked about how Bill Gates has connections to Planned Parenthood, and he is obviously someone who wants to eugenicize the world with his toxic vaccines, and the fact that they were founded by a racist is very, well, I like to say the word ironic, but it makes perfect sense that they that Gloria Steinem, who is either ignorant or a New World Order puppet, I'm assuming it's the latter, would say that you're racist if you attack Planned Parenthood. Makes perfect sense, so don't fall for the lies. And by the way, a lot of people that work at Planned Parenthood think they're doing good. They don't see any wrong in committing abortions, and as far as abortions go, I am very indifferent towards that. I'm not going to hate a woman because she wants to get an abortion, and I'm not going to try to stop her and make her change her mind, although I would certainly take adoption over abortion any day. Next article, this feminist rap will make your ears bleed. Feminists exploit kids as political human shields. I don't have time to see exactly what this feminist rap that would make my ears bleed is all about, but exploiting kids, not shocking in the least bit. Don't let them exploit kids. Think of the children, but don't let them brainwash you with children. Next article, U.S. moderates, that's pronounced moderates, in Syria, Turkmen and rebranded Islamists. Russia claims the U.S. supported group fighting with al-Nusra. Well, I'm no fan of Putin and his cronies in the Russian government, but it looks like they are trying to go anti-New World Order here, even though they are, in the end, puppets of the New World Order. Putin and his cronies in the Russian government, they are starting to realize this is all part of a scam, I guess, and so they're trying to go anti-U.S., which in a sense is kind of anti-New World Order, considering the U.S. is the Roman Empire of the modern era, and that's what they are used for by the New World Order. So it shouldn't come as too much of a shock if Putin is assassinated that it was perhaps the CIA that did the assassination. Well, that hasn't happened yet, of course, but it's no shock there, and Russia is probably right when they say that the U.S. supported group is fighting with al-Nusra. Russia lies a lot, but when I hate to sound like I'm anti-American, but hey, when a country I'm living in is used as the Roman Empire, and a country that is not sweet or an angel by any means, but is going against the Roman Empire, then I don't know. I can't help but give Russia the benefit of the doubt. I just can't help but do that. And Russia Today, that's a Putin-funded news program. Love them, hate them. I mean, they do have their own political agenda and all to brainwash people, but in the end, they do expose a lot of corruption on the part of the U.S. government. But they're not doing it. They're really doing that to create division, not to fight for freedom or anything like that. So it is a little bit of an illusion there. Then again, Russia Today, when they turned really anti-gun after Sandy Hook, I kind of lost a lot of faith in that station. But anyway, next article. F you racist F. That's, well, yes, F asterisk asterisk K, you racist F asterisk asterisk K. A pro-Hillary political action committee uses foul-mouthed Hispanic children to attack Donald Trump. The political action committee bribes activists to disrupt Trump's Saturday Night Live appearance. Yeah, I was getting a lot of emails saying, please do not let Donald Trump get on Saturday Night Live. It's not right. I didn't have anything to do with that petition. I didn't sign it. I was totally indifferent towards it. But what, I don't know, if you had to pick between Hillary and Donald Trump, if I absolutely had to choose, well, considering that I've always, whenever I mention Hillary Clinton, I can't resist but saying that in David Icke's Revelations of a Mother Goddess documentary back in 1998, I think it was, Arizona Wilder, Illuminati mind control slave, who saw political and corporate leaders shapeshift from human into reptilian form at Illuminati ceremony, said, I saw Hillary Clinton before I knew she was Hillary Clinton. And is Donald Trump a member of the Illuminati? One would think he would be because he's extremely wealthy. But it seems like a lot of things Donald Trump is fighting for are things that people that are Alex Jones fans would be fan of. And I mean, Jesse Ventura did say on the news that he wouldn't mind being Trump's running mate, even though there were some things he disagreed with. Is it possible that Donald Trump is realizing that there is a new world order and he realizes it's all bad and he's trying to turn like an angel, just like former Pennsylvania Governor Tom Ridge after he became the first director of Department of Homeland Security after the government staged 9/11? He started supporting the Department of Homeland Security going along with their plots, but then after a while he exposed it for the fraud that it is because he was becoming an angel and had the entity taken out of him. Is the same happening with Donald Trump? Who knows? I don't know, but it's kind of hard not to say that I wouldn't choose Trump over Hillary any day. And it has nothing to do with their political parties, by the way. Next article, gun sales at record high for 6th straight month. Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton are the best gun salespeople on the planet. Yes, because they want to take our guns. They are brainwashing American people into wanting to buy more guns to protect themselves from the brainwashing tyrants, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, who no doubt knew Sandy Hook was staged to justify taking the guns and all the rest of it. So, I mean, if you don't believe in using violence to escalate violence, don't get yourself a gun. You're probably better off without it. And I also would not advocate countries forcing citizens to get guns like Switzerland. The citizens in that country are required to own guns. Now, that is simply forcing people to obey a law that like you must have guns. That's a violation of their right to not have guns if they choose. So that is a problem. But still, guns the right to bear arms, was put in the Second Amendment so we can protect ourselves from tyrants in government. It's best if we act like we understand and respect those who want to use a gun to use violence to escalate violence if they fear tyranny. Next article, rioting illegals demand entry into Great Britain. Trash taxpayer-funded living quarters. Yes, first it was illegals coming into America to take our jobs and screw over the economy. Now the same thing with illegals and migrants is happening in Europe at a great rate, and I would love to see the day where people can cross international borders without government permission and paperwork filing, and we could sail our boats into international waterways and ports without having to go through an Ellis Island type procedure to immigrate. But then again, not all borders in this matrix are created equal. It's not a bad idea to make illegal, or excuse me, I shouldn't say that illegal, but just force immigrants in general to go through some sort of a process to enter the country. And, well, hopefully when we ascend to higher consciousness, that won't be necessary. But please do not think immigration processes are racist or discriminatory, because they're not. They're not a bad idea. And last article, national media ignores black on white hate crime assault. Men viciously assaulted by black gang for displaying Confederate flag sticker. Yeah, I stayed out of that whole Confederate flag thing from a couple months ago when they were talking about how maybe we should get rid of the Confederate flag because it symbolizes slavery or whatever. Now, I was kind of concerned that taking down the Confederate flag would open up a whole can of worms to take down other flags that are not so anti-something, so to speak. And so I didn't get involved with that thing. But it shouldn't come as an astonishment that the national media would not ignore white on black hate crime assault, but would ignore black on white hate crime assault in order to spin the whole thing and make people hate each other and create divide and conquer, all the rest of it. So, all right, but enough of that. Let's get Diana Gaisis on. I see I just had a couple of other people in the queue here. I'm going to start with area code 512. Hopefully this is Diana. Area code 512, is this Diana? Hello, area code 512, is this Diana?
It's not Diana.
All right, I could have guessed because you called way too early. All right, thank you very much. By the way, are you just listening or do you have a question? I'll let you on in an hour and 5 minutes if you're, and the rest of the callers if you have a question.
I will have a question, yes, please.
Oh, okay. I'll make sure I let you on at 7:15 Eastern. You're the first one in line, and then Greg Mason will be second. All right, later. All right.
Can you hear me?
Area code 786. Is this Diana?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. You seem to be just a little bit muffled. I don't know if it's your mouth being a little too close to the phone or something, but see if maybe your voice.
How is this now? How is this now?
You're coming clear, but you're a little quieter now.
Aha. Okay. How's this?
Start talking. Say something.
From the great God being that I am, I call forth now clarity.
Okay. Maybe talk. You're coming clear, but you're still maybe just a tad bit quiet. If there's any way you can maybe up it just by a few decibels, a little bit more.
Okay. Let me work with this cell phone. Here we go. That's as loud as it goes. I'm on a cell phone right now. I'd rather be on a landline, but I have just local calling on the landline.
Okay.
Anyway, we are.
All right. If this is the loudest you can get, just try to come in and articulate clearly, and we'll work with this the best way that we can. So, as far
Hello.
as are you ready?
Yeah, ready.
All right. Just so you know, like you've probably heard already, that some people will have some questions for you in an hour and 2 minutes. I will get them on, but we are going to start. And I'd like to maybe start with the not that it's not interesting, but if you get my drift, the not so interesting stuff first, and then get into the really, really interesting stuff. Save the best for last in regards to this. So, like I said, I met you at Mount Shasta, and but before we start talking about Mount Shasta and all the consciousness and spirituality stuff, you seem very, very bent and keen on this water filtration thing, removing chloride, fluoride, and heavy metals in water, and removing, it says your ad here reduces up to 99.85% of tested bacteria, viruses, and parasites. All right, this whole water filter health thing, I'll let you turn this into a sales pitch if you want at the very end, just to get your products out. But why is water filtration so important? What do your products do? Talk all you want. You got the floor on this.
A lot of people listening to you are interested in consciousness. When we're looking at fluoride and chlorination in most of the city's waters around the United States, we are calcifying, stepping down the availability of tapping into our third eye or our pineal gland. So I think it's key when we're 70% water, purify our water, to purify and get out a lot of the heavy metals, a lot of the chemicals, a lot of the chlorination and fluoride. It's that simple. To really function, to have any level of high-level wellness for our children, for ourselves, for the accelerated evolution that we are going through right now, it's key. That's one of the first things that I would do if I moved anywhere, is I'd purify my water, both the shower water and the sink water, the tap water. So I'm working with Aja filtration systems and Aja Clarity. Aja Clarity, usually that's the minerals, and it's black mica minerals, and they take out heavy metals. They purify the water. So you can use that with the filtration system or by itself, by just putting in a gallon of water and putting a couple of tablespoons or teaspoons in, and within a period of time, the water gets purified. And the filtration system is a gravity-fed, and it's really pure, and it's very inexpensive. There you go.
Thank you very much. And a few things about water that I'd like to talk about. If you're not an expert on this, just let me know. But ozone water, benefits of drinking water with you putting some sort of an ozone machine generator in your water. I know Greg Prescott of in5d.com is a big fan of doing this. Do you have anything to say about the phenomenon of ozone water?
Well, of course it can help. Any kind of oxygenation in water, in anything, oxygenation, deep breathing will help the body and evolve the body and purify. Ozonation purifies as well. With Aja Water Systems, and the website is www.waterfilterhealth.com, it also oxygenates the water as it purifies. But oxygenation is key for water. There's a lot going on the planet right now having to do with chemtrails, pollution, in many different ways, and it behooves us to take the healing into our own hands and start with some of the basics, like water, to purify ourselves.
Thank you. And another thing about water that I don't know if it makes much of a big deal whether or not you're drinking this kind of water or not, but there is a certain type of water, I believe heavy water, which has a certain isotope of hydrogen. I think it's called tritium. I could be mistaken about that, in which the hydrogen which normally in its most common form has one proton and one electron but no neutrons. This tritium has one proton, one neutron, and no electron. And one electron. It's an isotope that just has a neutron in it. And if you were to weigh heavy water on a scale compared to water that has no neutrons in the hydrogen, the scale would tip more on the side that has the heavy water. So do you know anything about the benefits or non-benefits, for that matter, of drinking heavy water with tritium as the hydrogen part?
Nope, you haven't touched into any of my expertise with that. Sorry. I haven't studied that or researched that.
Okay. And how about people that, well, like me, I live in a community that you have a little bit of leeway in drinking the tap water, because the community I live in makes sure to take their water purification very seriously. There's no fluoride in the water. They do everything they can to keep the water as pure as possible. They basically say we want the residents in our town to not have to fear drinking the water out of their tap or drinking the water out of the shower when they're taking a shower, if that's the way they want to get a quick hydration and all that. But even then, they would say, some would assert, you should still filter the water regardless of how good the town tries to purify the water and how good the town tries to keep the pipes clean. So is that true, or is it possible, do you think, for some towns to do a good enough job to clean their water supply so people don't have to spend a little extra money on water filters and such?
Well, let me put it this way. I live in Mount Shasta, and we have some of the purest mountain water in the country, where there's no chlorination and there's no fluoride. And yes, I purify my water, and I also purify my shower, because a lot of times you don't know what's in the pipes. And for example, purifying my water, out of the tap, I really have to clean the filter almost every other day, big time, from heavy metals, from rust, from whatever is in there. So, yes, I would, and I'm doing that.
All right, good advice. And in regards, not just purifying, but also blessing water, some people have talked about how you could put like a quartz crystal, or not necessarily quartz. Some would debate whether or not quartz is the best crystal to do this. Like put a glass of water in your refrigerator, put some sort of a crystal in it, and then when you drink the water in the morning, it'll basically have similar effects to a cup of coffee, which could maybe save you a little money on your caffeine spending. And other people just say, well, you don't really have to go do that. You can also just fill water up and meditate in a lotus flower position on the floor with the water in your lap area, and just imagine love energy going from your heart chakra to the water, and it will be more beneficial and more loving and even more energetic and caffeine-like than it would be if you did not do that. So do you have any advice? And like if you use crystals, what kind of crystals do you think you should use to purify water that you intend to drink, or for that matter, bathe in?
Well, for example, the Aja Clarity, the Aja tank that I have is 2 tanks. And on the bottom tank, I do have crystals. Why not? And before I put the crystals in the tank, I charge them up. And how I do that, here's what. For the audience, why don't you take a glass of water and hold it in your hands and just tune in with me. Here is a great prayer that I have taught, an invocation to charge food, to charge water, or even to do self-healing. And it's very simple and it's very quick. It has to have metaphysical projects, have to have practical application. And they have to be simple and they have to be quick, I think. So here we go. You hold your water or your food or your hands over your food, and you're activating your I am presence or God presence. So it's from the great God being that I am. I bless this water, and I charge it with the highest frequencies and all the healing codes that this body needs for high-level wellness and service to source. Now, you can use any other words, but basically that, and I'm going to put it on my Facebook pages and I'm going to put it on my website because it is so powerful. What that has done, when I have used that prayer from the great God being that I am, activates that God within us, that aspect of God within us. And I've had actually my Kundalini open up when I've done that. Very, very powerful. And if you took a Kirlian photograph, that's an energy photograph, over the food or over the water, I teach a lot with Kirlian to show an example of what is possible. But yeah, I recommend charging water up. I recommend charging everything up, charging our bath water, charging our drinking water, charging our food up. And if you took a photograph of that, yes, it would make a big difference.
No question, and of course, the more energy, the better, because energy flows where attention goes. But let's switch gears here. I think that's enough about the water for now. Talking about some stuff on your Diana Gazes. How do you pronounce your last name, by the way, just so I get it right?
Gazes, Diana Gazes.
Gazes, okay. On your website, Diana Gazes.
To the future.
Okay. DianaGazes.com, under the energy healing, you have something on pet healing, 3 pets you talk about here. Cats, dogs, and horses, just to give 3 examples. The cats and dogs, most people have. A lot of people don't have horses unless they live on a farm, but I'm guessing you're a horse fan or something. But in regards to using energy healing, health and happiness for you and your pet, you got the floor on this subject. Why do you see this as key?
Well, I see it as important as we're going through an evolutionary process, an accelerated evolutionary process on the planet right now, where enormous energies are coming down, and anything that is not clear, anything that is outdated is coming up like cream coming up to the surface to be cleared. And it's happening the same as it's happening with humans, it's happening with pets. So I have a lot of high-frequency healing tools on dianagazes.com that supports and helps us integrate with the new energies coming in. And it also helps the pets. I have a biomat, I have a quantum wave laser, I have the water filter system, and there's going to be several more coming on very shortly. But I've always been interested in choosing the healing tools that can support the shifts that are continuously happening on the planet at this time. So the pets are going through a lot of what the humans are going through, but they don't have a voice to say it. And there's a lot of people that we love our pets, so why not support them just like we're supporting our own bodies?
Well, you say pets don't have a voice. There's a certain individual by the name of Els Bastian from Europe who would certainly disagree with that. She communicates with animals. I'm not exactly sure whether it's ESP or some other phenomenon. I did listen to an interview that she did on N5D radio way back in the day, but don't remember much from that. So this whole idea of communicating with animals, you say they don't have a voice to speak of. A lot of people beg to differ. What do you have to say about those people who beg to differ?
Agree. No, my dear, I agree. If you have the intuitive abilities, and I sometimes do, not all the time, it depends upon the animal, but to communicate directly, mind to mind, telepathically, of course that's possible. But many people don't. But yes, we can feel, we can sense, we can intuit what's happening to our pets, and they can communicate. They are also going through an evolutionary process.
No question that they are. Let's, I guess we'll switch gears now. More subjects here. I guess we could start talking about your products. If you want to make a little bit of a sales pitch out of this, by all means do. Just don't obsess about the selling part. I really want to get the science part out of this for the purpose of this show. You already talked about the Idea Clarity device. Superfoods. Let's do this one by one. You got superfoods, brown seaweed, amethyst, biomat, and so let's do those three. Let's start with superfoods. If you want to cover them all before I start talking again, by all means, superfoods, brown seaweed, and amethyst, biomat. You got the floor on all three.
Thank you. Well, let's start with the amethyst biomat. I actually, since I bought it, I sleep on it every night. And especially when it's getting cold in Mount Shasta right now, and it's starting to get cold on the East Coast as well, I turn it on, and this radiant heat just warms my bed and warms my body and does all sorts of healing at the same time. The biomat was made for NASA when the astronauts went into space, and it takes out all sorts of pain and all sorts of imbalances in the body. It's really quite a gift for the self to have that, to work with it. It's also really good on, chiropractic offices, massage therapists, on their tables as they're working with their clients. It makes a big difference in the body. And as far as the superfoods, I have superfoods that I'm selling on my dianagazes.com, and I've got the brown seaweed. All of it helps in raising frequency. Every level of consciousness is a level of frequency. So how could we raise our frequency? And it's by what we choose. For example, I work with it's not on my website, but it's available and I can order it. I work with a spirulina called Biolumina, that's charged up spirulina, or green foods, or some of the powders that are on my site. They just give us the proper balance and antioxidants to balance our body. And as far as there's another thing on there called the quantum wave laser. Well, I've used that every day since I've owned it. And it's one of the finest lasers that is available as far as a personal laser. And, for example, I was going from my garage into my kitchen one time, and a broom fell over, and I didn't see it. And I fell into the steps, and I just had to crawl in bed. And I put the laser on it, and I thought I wouldn't walk the next day, or I would have such a bad bruise or a goosebump, a goose egg there. But it was nothing. It was all cleared. It worked with the integrating of the cellular structure of the body. It's also great for facelift, taking lines out of the face, lifting, facelifting, many kinds of healing. It also clears and balances the entire body, the chakra system, the meridians, the entire body. DianaGazes.com, and people are welcome to call or email me and call and get a lot more information. Andrew.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just on mute. I'm always going to be on mute whenever you're talking. So if there's a delay, that's because I'm unmuting myself. This mute button on Blog Talk sometimes takes longer than usual. It's a pain in the ass like that.
Oh, thanks for telling me that. I didn't know that. Good.
Okay. All right, but let's go to your. I think this is basically your primary site. This light team. It says Lie Team or Light Team, whichever way you want to pronounce it. But
actually, when I was doing a healing session, that name came through from the universe, from my guides.
Oh.
It's the word light and the word team, but with one T between the two. So it's thelightteam.com. And if you don't use the word the, you're going to get a lighting company in Australia. So it's thelightteam.com.
Okay, good. Thanks for pointing that out. Before we start talking about some of the really important stuff on this site, first of all, Mount Shasta, I was there, met you there at that conference that Rob Potter set up.
Mm-hmm.
And Mount Shasta, they say, is the root chakra on the surface of Mother Earth. And I was recently re-listening to that 20-part series that Andrew Bartzis was being interviewed by Lance White. This was back in the summer 2013, where they were at Mount Shasta doing that conference. He was talking about how beneath Mount Shasta there is basically a city. It's not. I don't think it's necessarily a city that's in our dimension or density. It's in another dimension or density, but it would be underneath Mount Shasta in a hollow earth area, so to speak. And of course, Mount Shasta's got a lot of UFOs, and I found that out when James Gilliland was there, and we were looking up at the campfire circle, and looking up for UFOs. I mean, nothing really fancy appeared, but we saw those little white specks that look like moving stars. People say they're satellites, but they can't be satellites because satellites don't reflect any light off them. They got to be something else. And one key that there was definitely some sort of an intelligent alien, dare I say it, force behind some of the things we saw. We saw one moving, and then behind it there was another one moving, straight line. They were both moving at the same velocity. Satellites don't do that. So there's something up with Mount Shasta in regards to the UFO phenomenon there. And I guess since you live near Mount Shasta, you can. I'm guessing you're a little bit of an expert, since you're a native, so to speak, of the area. So tell us anything and everything you can about the spiritual, metaphysical, and love-based properties. And if there are any fear-based properties, by all means, enlighten them about us about that too, about Mount Shasta. You got the floor in this, the science behind Mount Shasta.
Well, Mount Shasta, like many other places in the world, is a major power spot. It's probably every mountain radiates enormous energy. Mount Shasta has been attracting many people from around the world for many years. I moved here many years ago, 16 plus years ago, from Manhattan. I was living in Manhattan, then I moved to Hawaii a while, and Mount Shasta called me. And so when I give workshops around the world, I just travel in and out of Mount Shasta. Not as convenient as being in a big city near an airport, but it has its plus factors. So there is a city under Mount Shasta that is talked about a lot, and it's called Telos. I have occasionally been in touch with beings from Telos. Other people, that is their specialty, but there is an inner earth civilizations in many places of the world. And it's just coming out right now, that kind of information. And it isn't in the same dimension that we're in. And there are many dimensions, many levels of consciousness on planet Earth right now. For example, to see or to meet or to be in communion with a higher dimensional being, we have to match that through breath work, through diet, through superfoods, and of course meditation. Meditation is key. And for example, I was meditating at a retreat of 10, 11 hours a day, and about the fifth day, I love the trees and the tree beings, and I teach a lot about healing with the trees. And about the sixth day of the meditation retreat, I was hugging this tree, and in my third eye, I saw the face of the tree spirit. Literally saw it, where this being with this oval face, and the hair went straight up about 3 or 4 times the size or the height of the face, with little light bulbs within it. And then I lay down on the grass that same day, and I saw the rainbow energies wafting off the leaves and the branches of the trees, because due to that long periods of meditation during the retreat, my frequency was matching the frequency to be able to open up that paradigm, that frequency band, that waveform, to take a look in. And the same thing with the inner earth beings. Mount Shasta is a place that, yes, there's been a lot of reports on spaceships. Just ignore the phone, please. I haven't turned it off. There are many sightings. I have had some sightings of spaceships. One time I was driving my car, and I was told, Diana, look up. And I looked up into the sky near the mountain, and I saw the shape of a ship, and it was like a bell-shaped ship, a standard round spaceship like you would normally see, but it was simply an outline. It was like a bright outline, but the center was sky. That was one of my sightings. And during the wintertime, when it gets quiet here and we don't have many tourists, we have less tourists than we have during the summer, spring, and fall, I can actually hear the sound of the ships coming in. You know, you can hear that tone, that hum. It's a place that many come for retreat, meditation, for camping in the summer. And I'm available. I'm here. When I'm here, I'm available to do sessions in person. Otherwise, my healing sessions happen over the phone or over Skype, anywhere in the world. But when I'm here, I'll do it and also guide people.
Yeah, and what exactly is the significance behind the Mount Shasta being the root chakra of Mother Earth? I mean, if it was any other chakra, what kind of differences would you see there?
You know, Andrew, some people say it's the root chakra. Some people say it's the heart chakra. Some people say it's the crown chakra. So I'm not sure it's the root chakra. And I really can't even give you the answer of that. It's just a place to see more of who you are. It's a place to get more in touch with yourself. And it's a place that to go into silence. If you have the patience to go into silence and do some deep retreats, this is a wonderful place for that. As far as which chakra it is or significance of the root chakra with it, not sure. Can't say.
Okay, we saw some orbs at the campfire. I didn't mention this, the orbs that you see, not the rods, but orbs, round things, somewhat opaque, 50% opaque, 50% translucent. They were caught on camera when we were doing some sort of a ritual. I recently watched an interview. I don't remember who it was, and I don't remember all the details of what their theory was. But in a nutshell, this person in the interview said that orbs, they are not any sort of consciousness taking a form of an orb. They are actually a product of an artificial intelligence. So this debate as to whether orbs are artificial intelligence or some sort of consciousness manifestation, or, well, someone could debate whether artificial intelligence is consciousness manifestation, but some people say no, they are strictly, there's not a percentage factor. Orbs, the kind we see, they are strictly some sort of byproduct or form of artificial intelligence. Do you have anything to say about that issue?
I don't think they're artificial intelligence. I really think what we're looking at is another form of consciousness or intelligence. I have had many, many multidimensional or spiritual photographs when I've taken them around Mount Shasta. When I taught in Japan, I took them around Mount Fuji, and many unusual things have come on my camera. You saw them around the campfire. Now that we have digital photography, and I think I've waited all my life for digital photography, it is able to pick up some of the subtle realms in a way that film didn't do previously. And, for example, I sent you a photograph last night. Did you get it? I sent you some photographs. Did you see them?
Yeah, I did see them. I did see them, but the only one I uploaded as to the slide was the new picture of you with a different color hair than the one that I originally had. The other pictures I still have saved on the email because I wanted to keep the original ones just to not make things too complicated. But I do have those other pictures that you sent me, and I guess I'll save them to my computer or something and look at them in greater detail if you'd like me to.
Yeah, I would appreciate, if we can get the one with the orbs in front of me, those geometries. I have many pictures. I work with a team called the Light Team, and they are all galactic beings and archangels and angels and master beings, and they come on the camera when I'm photographed around my field in the form of geometries, very unusual geometric forms. It's like the geometric signatures. So the same thing with orbs, going back to orbs, a lot of times there are many orbs that are in my photographs, and very often they have also, again, geometric patterns and forms within them. One time I was doing some photographs up on the mountain in the forest, and then this being appeared in the form, again, of like an orb, but it had more detail in it, this conscious being, without a physical body, but a round globus, but with this living energy inside it, this breathing, living energy inside it. A lot of these photographs are on my website. And I also have a DVD that I offer called Fifth Dimensional Experience, and it shows a lot of these photographs that I've taken where other dimensional beings have come on the camera. And people have often said, I've showed it when I speak at conferences, and they have it on large screen projection, people have felt that the beings would almost come right through the screen. And in people's homes, they've remarked upon this too, more than one. that they come right through the screen, working with the consciousness of the audience. It's very interesting with mass media, with radio, with television, with mass media, how the frequencies can come right through, even in the newspaper, right through. The spiritual energy can come right through and affect people and affect us in a positive way.
I have no doubt it can. And on that note, talking about your private sessions here, I see three things: deep clearing and cellular healing, spheres of love, and DNA activation and repatterning. Let's take them one by one here. Deep clearing and cellular healing. Guessing law of attraction has a lot. What?
Yeah.
I'm guessing law of attraction has a lot to do with this. I'm guessing law of attraction might have something to do with some of this stuff. But deep clearing and cellular healing, please elaborate on that specific one.
I would be happy to. When I do private sessions, any of the private sessions, all of them, all the ones you've mentioned, I call the team, the light team in, and they anchor within the field. And it doesn't matter if a person is in Texas or New York and I'm in California or in Brazil or Japan. There is no time and space when you're dealing with the grace and you're dealing with the spiritual dimensions, the soul level that we're talking about. And each of us as human beings have had many incarnations, many, many, many lives, sometimes thousands of lives, both on this planet and other planets. And so when we're going into clearing, we're clearing both on the physical level and the emotional level and the mental level. And it's like peeling, each session is like peeling a layer of an onion away, and each session gets deeper and deeper as they take out what is no longer serving us and bring in quantities of light, love, and energetics that would serve us at this time in balancing the body. The DNA activation, we have, I never know until I go into a session how many strands somebody has and how many strands are needed at that point to be activated, to be cleared. And it's never up to me. It's never even up to my guides. It's up to the person's own higher self and soul. And so there's a whole process that we go through with the DNA activation that activates them on many, many different levels. And depending upon what is needed and what they're able to receive at that time, that's how many strands can also be activated. Going back to the deep clearing session, it also clears energies, entities, entity attachment. We also clear the genetics from many, many, many lifetimes going back, the genetics of your grandparents and your great-great-great-great-grandparents, the genetic lineage of emotional, of miasm, of anything. It just gets cleared out. Just as environmental pollutants that we collect in the body gets cleared out, just like entity attachment, and that can happen as well, gets cleared out, especially cords of energy. When we're in relationship with others, you may love another person, but you never have to be hooked in or connected in that way. So a lot of that is cleared and balanced, especially if somebody has been a healer in many different lifetimes, or a doctor, or a teacher, workshop leader like myself. There are many patients, many students, many that hook into the field for their own healing rather than going into their own knowing, and knowing that we all are healers. We all have the healing abilities on our own. Or if somebody has been a spiritual teacher, there are others from lifetimes back that may be still attaching themselves, thinking that is their way to get to the higher planes. That is their way to touch into God, to their own soul, when it's not. It never is. So a lot of that is cleared, especially even take a profession like nursing, and they're seeing so many patients, or a doctor goes through a hospital, and there's so many patients that they're seeing on a daily basis, or a dentist. Well, after you work with them, there are technologies using violet flame or many other ways to do clearing or cutting the cords before you see, cutting the cords and clearing the atmosphere, clearing the room before the next patient, before the next person comes in.
Thank you. In regards to activating DNA, a little question I have for those that might want to take a supplement. Like, there are some supplements that either in the supplement name, maybe a description, it says either the word RNA, or DNA. I take a supplement from Infowars.com called DNA Force, which is designed to improve the mitochondrial health of your cells. Now, one might think that if you are enhancing the mitochondrial ability and strength of your cells, that will in turn allow for DNA activation to happen quicker. So one might think that that's a good supplement to take in this time of consciousness expansion, but others would assert, no, you got your biology and your metaphysics kind of screwed up there. Enhancing the mitochondrial health of your cells through a supplement called DNA Force is not going to enhance the energy or the consciousness or the activation potential of your DNA, or can it? Can you perhaps clear up this debate?
Well, I'm not familiar with that particular supplement, but any supplement that's actually activating the mitochondria and getting the life force energy within our body moving more quickly. And it's just not one supplement. It's a whole lifestyle that we're looking at. And when one's shifting the lifestyle so that vibrational frequency is raising through a supplement like that, it can help raise the, balance out the DNA. And there is supplement called DNA, and there's supplements called RNA. For example, a lot of people get affected when there's heavy clouds in the sky, or there's a heavy cloud system, and that affects the RNA in the system. And I take something for RNA that clears that. But whether it activates the strands of the DNA, taking a supplement like you're talking, I don't know about that. I would rather, I don't know. It's really the whole picture. It's just not one thing that you can use to do that.
Okay, thank you.
And everything and anything is possible. I always have that open mind that within human potential and capabilities, anything is possible. So if we even take any supplement, and we believe strongly that we're creative beings, we're God beings in form. So if we believe that something is going to happen from that supplement we're taking, it certainly could.
Sure, it could. Anything is possible when you're infinite consciousness. But let's backtrack a bit here. I heard you mention tree hugging earlier on and how it activated your pineal gland. Other people, something in your pineal gland, other people just tree hug for general connection to Mother Earth and for other health benefits. It's interesting you pointed out, because when I was at the campfire Mount Shasta, there was this guy who was talking about how the reason our heart tilts to the left slightly is because we have been conditioned to hug people. Like, when you hug someone, you may not realize it, but you naturally will hug them on their right side, which to you is, from your point of view, is the left, and they will hug you on your right shoulder, which to you is, you perceive as your right side when you wrap the arms around them and come near them, and that has caused our hearts to tilt in that direction a bit, he claims. He claims that we need to start getting into the habit of hugging to the right side to remove that imbalance. And I asked him, well, if you don't have a lot of people to hug to try to fix this imbalance. Can you actually hug trees in such a manner by hugging trees, by making sure that when you hug a tree, you put your left arm above higher than where your right arm is when you wrap the arms around the trunk of the tree, and make sure your head is leaning a bit towards the right side of the tree, well, your right side, but from the tree's point of view, if it was a person there, its left side. And he said, yes, I don't see why not. I think that if you do hug trees in that manner, it could actually remove the imbalance in the heart being tilted to the left a bit. So I'd like you to maybe elaborate on, aside from just allowing the pineal gland to see things, what are some of the many, many benefits of tree hugging, and are there other specific ways that you want people to do it, and like other specific trees, maybe which trees perhaps are the best?
Which
but it
trees
doesn't matter.
are the best?
Does not matter.
No. There are some trees, actually. That's a point. There are some trees that are elders, and they're usually larger trees. But first, going back a moment to your hugging, to balance out that aspect of hugging, what about taking on the way the Europeans hug from one side and then hug on the other side? In other words, both sides, not just one side. That's how I hug. And it depends on also where you are in the world. I've toured on every continent giving workshops, so I sort of have a feeling for different cultures pretty good. And there were certain areas of the world, and even certain areas in this country, where people are more open. Their hearts are more open. They're more open to hug. The West Coast, where I'm living on right now, is more open for hugging. It's part of how Hawaii is more open to hugging, whereas the East Coast is a bit more conservative. Where I was born, Manhattan, or the whole East Coast, and I love the East Coast, and I love Manhattan, but the culture of hugging is not ingrained so much as it was, and as it is on the West Coast. When I did a lot of teaching in Europe at one point, and in England, I remember when I would hug my students, a lot of times we wouldn't hardly make contact, and I almost had to teach hugging. You know, how we hug on the West Coast, how we hug more fully, where it's real. Going back to hugging with trees, there's a technology that I've taught, and I've had little old ladies all over. Maybe I'm considered a little old lady now, I don't know, but people all over England, when I did a big mass media event, when I was teaching for the Body, Mind, Spirit Festival for many years, and one of the newspapers did a whole story on it, and I had people calling and writing letters that whole sacks of mail would be dropped off at my doorstep after that. But one of the things that I taught at that point, and we had, many, many people hugging trees all over the country. And here's how we can actually commune with the tree. We can actually receive a lot of energy and even do charging up of our adrenal glands. Most people, due to stress, have very low adrenal glands right now. One of the ways that I like to work with nature, and especially with the trees, is receiving energy from the earth, lying directly on the earth, opening my hand and feet chakras, and just pulling it up, receiving. And the same thing with the tree. When I hug a tree, I open my hand chakras, I open my feet chakras. If it's warm enough and if it's appropriate enough, I'll even take my shoes off so I won't have the rubber on my sneakers or on most shoes now blocking the earth energy from earthing me, from coming up into my body. And I will just commune in a telepathic way with this tree being. It doesn't always work. It depends upon the tree. But it does a lot of times. And I would just say, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being so nice. I love you. And I would send energy of love into the tree. And then I could feel that energy pouring back into me, and it would just go through my spine, up around my head, through my spine, down my spine, filling every cell of my body. It was amazing, and you can feel this pulsation of energy. It's a wonderful, wonderful technique to hug trees. I recommend it. Or even if you have some time and you want to read a book, just sit on the ground with your back up against a tree. Try to get your shoes off so you're barefooted and just commune with the tree, open up to it as you're spending a couple of hours. Another thing that I like to do is lie on the ground with my feet going right up the trunk of the tree. So it's basically reversing my body, getting the tree energy and getting the earth energy at the same time.
That last position, some people would say that seems kind of awkward. You're lying on your back, but you have your legs going up parallel to the tree trunk. Can you explain that position one more time? You kind of lost me there. How do you lie in that straight? Never tried that before.
Sure. Just like when you do yoga sometimes. You're in a yoga studio. Sometimes you get all the way with your butt up against the wall, and you put your feet high up on the wall, right? To reverse the flow of energy, just to give your cells of your feet and your legs a break. The same thing with the tree. You can lie down up against the tree with putting your feet, just resting it up against the trunk of the tree. Is that clear? And putting something under your head and just meditating that way, just relaxing.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying that. I guess I'll try that sometime. And all right, let's get to a couple more things on your site before we start taking calls in about 13 minutes or so. Here on the workshops thing, I think you already covered the spheres of. Did you cover the spheres of love a little bit already?
Well, the spheres of love, I do sessions. I don't do private sessions with the spheres of love because the energy is so powerful, the initiations, for my own body. When I first started working with the spheres of love and these sphere beings came in, and there was initiations with people, I did it in large groups. And I even have a photograph on my camera that showed the energy afterward of the whole group, the subtle energy in the field. I think I even have it on my website. But it's a very powerful workshop. And occasionally I will do, when somebody has had a lot of clearing already with different clearing sessions, I would, if I get guided that they need a spheres activation, we do that in the session. But yeah.
Thank you. And some of the other things here, opening the field of possibility. I think you already mentioned this when you said anything is possible because we're infinite consciousness. But people will say, well, yeah, simply acknowledging that you're infinite consciousness, that implies anything is possible, is not going to just like that make everything possible. I mean, if it could, then we could all we could all do like what the Jedi do in the Star Wars movies by using our hands, moving them to move ships out of water, as Yoda did when Luke Skywalker said, "I can't do it because it's too hard. The ship's too big." And then he said, "I can't believe what I just saw. How'd you do that?" And he said, "I can't believe it." And Yoda said, "Well, yeah, you don't believe it. That is why you failed." Well, yes, the key there, believing that it's possible, but there's got to be a lot more than just that. I mean, a lot of people could say, like I myself, I've actually been doing like metaphysical exercises. One of them is where I take a small little teeny tiny piece of paper, start off small and take baby steps. They say when you do this, just put the paper there and try to move it with your hand. And I think you would try to use your right hand and not your left hand. Your receiving hand, your right hand is the hand that transmits energy, so it's better to use the right hand for this, and just try to move the paper a tad bit. After having tried this for, well, ever since, I guess, since the end of the Mayan calendar is when I first started doing this, I have yet to be able to move the paper. And, well, a lot of people say, well, don't feel bad. You're not the only one who would be saying that. So why can't I move the paper for anybody else who just doesn't doesn't get it. Why it's not possible like in the Star Wars movies.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, everything is energy and everything is vibrational frequency. Every level of vibrational frequency is a level of consciousness. And it's almost matching the consciousness yourself with the consciousness of the paper. What you're really talking about is psychokinesis. I taught literally millions of people about bending spoons with the power of their mind. And the reason that the masters put that into my hands, that teaching into my hands, where we did it everywhere from workshops in many countries and around the United States, over Geraldo and Regis and Good Morning Australia and all the morning shows, many of the morning shows, was at that, it was like training wheels on a bicycle, showing people that we are creator beings. And what we think is what we create. And everybody has these abilities. So in my workshop, enter the field, the field for, say, spoon bending or psychokinesis. So many people activated and had those experiences. And then they also had many, many experiences of full healing, big time full healing during that. It's a matter of truly believing it and then becoming it, becoming the energetic. It's like I can talk about anything, and I can give lots of wisdom and lots of knowledge, but that won't do a thing for anybody unless they have a direct experience in my workshops, in my sessions, where they can feel the hand of the angel touching them, for example, or have an aha moment that's theirs, that they own it. Once they have a direct experience, it is theirs forever. That's why the spoon bending or the psychokinesis that you just mentioned with a piece of paper is so important. It's the training wheels to show us that we are creating our reality. If I can move the paper, if I can bend a spoon with the power of my mind, what else can I do? Can I heal myself? Can I create a successful business? And how am I undermining myself? Does that make sense?
It does indeed. And one more thing here on this workshop thing, quantum rejuvenation. Interesting thing about the word quantum, I've recently been listening to some of those new programs on in 5D radio, the quantum healing session, the QHHT, which was something that late Dolores Cannon pioneered to a great extent, and there was a quantum aspect to it. Now, what is quantum? Well, some would say that what we think of as quantum physics is the science behind how the third dimension or third density, whichever D word you want to use, how it works. And some would assert that, well, you want to learn about quantum physics if you want to better understand the nature of reality. But on the flip side, if you obsess too much about quantum physics, you will keep yourself trapped in the third dimension of consciousness and cannot move your consciousness up, because obsessing about or trying to learn too much about how the third dimension of consciousness works will enlighten you and all, but it'll still, from a consciousness standpoint, keep your consciousness suppressed. So the idea of whether or not it is or is not in your best interest to obsess, I guess obsess is the right word, about how quantum physics works and also what quantum rejuvenation is and how it works. Talk about this. I say you got the floor, but I'd like to start taking calls in about 6 minutes, just so you know.
Okay, when I talk about the word quantum rejuvenation, what it is saying that we're not just physical beings. We're vast, multidimensional beings. Vast multidimensional beings. And so when I do sessions or I do healing work, we're not only working with the physical, we're working with the subtle bodies multidimensionally. When I am activating the chakra system, for example, or clearing the chakras, I'm not only clearing the 7 major chakras, I'm clearing all the subtle chakras, the universal chakras, the galactic chakras, and when appropriate, asking that be opened. We are just vast. We have such a small idea of who we truly are and what we can do. We're vast, multidimensional beings. Through the years, I have had glimpses of myself. One time, seeing myself larger than the earth, holding the earth in her hands as I was bringing the energies from the central suns through that vast body down into different places of the earth, and stepped into a super consciousness, and knew exactly what geometries, where to lay it over the different places all over the earth. Again, we have just a small inkling of who we are. As a matter of fact, that enlightenment experience that I had, that's when I realized everything is energy. Our body is totally energy. As a matter of fact, they prepared me for a full month before that happened, and in a big portal opening of the 11:11. And I was almost turning translucent. My body was vibrating at such a high rate of energy, of light, bringing into the body. So we are that. We are light, we are love, we are consciousness. We are vast, multidimensional beings, and we just think of ourselves as so small at this time. But we're waking up. It's a very important time where we're waking up. And the most important, at this moment in time, I think, is really bringing our own higher self, our own I am presence, our own God presence down into form, into physicality, so that we can be the physical masters that we're designed to be. So that's what my meditations, there's not a lot of quantum physics thought in my meditations. It's just going into breath work and calling in my soul, calling in my God presence, and bringing it more fully into form. And then being guided by my soul, by my heart, instead of my mind so much, but the wisdom of my heart and my God presence, living by that guidance.
Thank you very much. And a couple minutes out of schedule, but I guess there's no harm in taking calls now. So first caller, area code 512. I spoke to you about an hour ago. You were on the air yet again. What's your name? Where are you from? What's your question?
Hi, I'm Julia, and I'm calling from Austin, Texas.
Alex Jones Country. How you doing?
Fantastic. It was a pretty cloudy day today. I think we're going to get some more rain here, but that's okay as long as no one's losing homes or losing lives. We'll take the rain. So I guess it was a great conversation, great show. So thank you for that. I'm wondering.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I am also a healer, and I do crystal energy healing work, and I use crystals and I place them. I do aura clearing as well, their energy field, and I use mainly crystals around my client and then on the main 7 chakras. And
yes.
Sometimes I will place them like elbows and wrists and then ankles. I'm wondering, from your standpoint, if there's another way to enhance that or to take it up to another level with all these, new energies coming in. I guess even for myself too, to be able to offer that kind of healing for others.
Well, what you're talking about, I think, is an energy layout, is a crystal layout on the person's body, or is it one crystal that you're working with?
A layout, almost like a grid, like a human crystal grid.
Right, that's a beautiful way of working. And then once you have the grid laid out, it's just connecting up, opening yourself to that higher energy that pours through you and directing it to the person, to the body, to whatever your goal is with that situation.
Okay.
I love, personally, I have a lot of crystals, and I love them. When I was driving cross-country, I stopped at Hot Springs, Arkansas, And what was very interesting, you know about that?
Yeah, I do. I want to go.
So I actually offer crystals if people are interested or coming through Shasta. I was guided to fill my car up with crystals. It was so amazing I could hardly leave there. Why that was is because ancient Atlantean crystals have activated in that area. And one of the best mines in the country and in the world is the Coleman mine. And I bought a lot of crystals that were just dug up from the Coleman mine. But the two main Atlantean crystals that activated was that of clairvoyance and that of healing. And I could really feel that energy when I was there. So when I carry these crystals back, and I can send photographs and weight and stuff like that if people are interested of these crystals. These are all beautiful. I mean, some are large, some are small. Some of them the mines have closed and the type of crystal they are is no longer available. But they carry the ancient Atlantean energy. So feel free to contact me about it if you'd like.
I would love to. Thank you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I know that if I go, it will probably be difficult for me to leave too. I do, when I am, as you were talking about, with my client and like it's like a grid for the client with all the crystals that I use, and I just allow spirit and energies to flow through me, and I work mainly with Archangel Metatron and Archangel Sandalphon. So I feel like I get the Gaia connection and then also the divine connection when I work with those two.
Yes, you do. That's beautiful. And,
wow.
And of course, and of course you know how to clear your crystals, after you use them.
Oh, yes. Cleansing and clearing them. Absolutely. I do I have white sage, so always, cleansing and clearing the space before each client and in between clients. And then so I do moonlight and I sage, and you can also do sound clearing as well with the crystals. So
it all works. Yeah.
Yeah. Since you mentioned that, I got a question too. Since you mentioned that, you said moonlight is used to clear crystals. I've heard that moonlight works better than sunlight. So both Diana and Julie, could you perhaps enlighten me on why sunlight works better than, first of all, moonlight. Some people say moonlight must be a bad thing because the moon's artificial and it's controlled by malevolent entities. But no, you're specifically getting the strictly benevolent feminine energy, I presume. So why is that better than the energy of the sun?
Well, from my standpoint, like full moon and new moon, like that, those are the best times to charge your crystals. The sunlight for me, some people use it, and I don't have any reason to believe that it doesn't work, but the sunlight can fade the crystals and kind of change the appearance of them. So I personally don't like to use that, but I don't know if you have any other insight as far as the moonlight and the sunlight.
But when we're talking about quartz crystals, I don't think it shades it. I think that the sunlight as well as moonlight or starlight, we're not only talking about the moon, we're talking about the star energy coming through. And it does charge it up. It can be, but for me, it can be both sun or sunlight as well as nighttime with star energy, and also putting crystals on the earth at times to charge them up.
Yeah.
There's a whole consciousness. When I taught in Brazil, and somebody took me to this large place where they had tons of crystals, right? And then I went back to doing, 147 sessions in Brazil, believe it or not. And when I went back into doing my sessions, after visiting this vast crystal shop, I could feel the consciousness of the collective consciousness of the grid of the crystal consciousness coming into the sessions so strongly at that time.
Whoa!
I know everything is in the process of evolving, and at this moment in time, it's truly accelerated evolution.
Mhm. Yes,
and
it
so
is.
a lot of people are going through difficult times right now, and they need to realize that with this new energy coming in to their body, to their pets, to the planet, it's wanting the old that no longer serves us to be lifted out and cleared, making room for the new.
That's
Emptying the chalice, emptying the cup.
Yes, that's exactly what I've been seeing with almost all of my readings and my clients. Just people very worried and feel like everything's, just falling apart in a sense. And I like to use that analogy of, the tree, a big, strong tree. And right now what's happening is the dead leaves and the dead branches are just being shaken out. Whatever no longer serves you is just falling to the wayside. So that way you can align with these new energies and become clear about what your spirit and your soul it really wants and why you're really here.
Yes.
Wow.
And we're going into truly a time of enlightenment. It's like a 26,000-year series, and 13,000 of the years of the time we were in the darker ages. And now we're just coming right up and through into the galactic realms. Mm-hmm. And so much energy. And in many other 6 or 7 yugas, humanity has harmed themselves. Maldek was blown up, Atlantis was blown up, et cetera, different things, Lemuria. We have the possibility right now. You see, we have enough light and light workers and star seeds on the planet right now to balance the dark energy. And that's even why there's been so much sightings of other civilizations, galactic civilizations, because what happens to Earth happens to the whole galaxy and all the other planets, just like what happens in Iraq and Iran and the Middle East is going to affect all of Earth. And the same thing that is with the rest of the galaxy. But I know without a shadow of a doubt in every aspect of my being that we are stepping into a golden age, no matter what the newspapers report or what it looks like.
Mhm. Wow.
Yeah, it's really a time to fine-tune ourselves and be ready, stepping into our God presence, into our power, into our knowing, and work with the energies in conscious evolution, in a conscious way.
Mhm. I definitely feel it. For sure I do. I always try to remember too that when I'm feeling like tired and there's really no reason for being tired, I just allow myself to rest if I have the availability to do that, and let whatever downloads need to come in to go ahead and come in.
I know. This is the first year, Julie, that I've been doing the same thing. When the energy gets really, really intense, I do like a 10-minute sort of conscious nap where I'm still present, but I'm letting the downloads come in, 10, 15 minutes, and I also have the ability to do that. Yeah. It's really quite a wondrous time.
It really is. And you can feel that for yourself, the shift in how you're feeling just by allowing it, just for 10, 15 minutes, lying down.
Yes,
wow.
It does. It makes a big difference. Mm-hmm. And also, I'd like to offer, Andrew, if I may, I also have some CDs that carry everything I'm doing and what I'm interested in is a really high frequency and bringing up the frequency. And sometimes it's good to have tools that support and assist us. And I have 3 CDs that I offer on my websites on dianagazes.com. Those are downloads that are very inexpensive that people can get, or a hard copy can be sent. But most of us are doing digital right now, we don't even need hard copies. But, for example, there's one called Transmission on the slopes of Mount Shasta. And that was a bestseller in Japan and did well in Hong Kong and other places. And spas and healing centers all over the country were playing them in the background 24/7, and many homes were playing them 24/7 because the frequency was so high, it was clearing the energy field. And it was recorded high up on the slopes of Mount Shasta in a place called a sacred meadow called Panther Meadow. And I did an invocation calling in the masters and the beings and the cities of light in around and through Mount Shasta, and they truly, truly anchored in the CD.
Wow.
And the other
name
two, it's called Transmission on the slopes of Mount Shasta.
What
and the other two is called, pardon? Oh, Panther Meadow.
Panther?
Panther. And in the background, you can hear the sounds of dolphins and water. The water and the streams of the mountain streams.
That's my spirit animal, dolphin.
I love them. Yeah, and all my CDs carry the frequency of the whales or the dolphins and water energy. This one has the water and the frequency and the energetics that really carry Mount Shasta. The other two are chanting in the harmonic frequency of Kuan Yin and the Divine Mothers. One is called Ocean of Freedom. The other is called Ocean of Love. And it has also whale singing. Many, many, many pods of whales singing in the background.
Wow.
Well, thanks for sharing that. Is there anything else, Julie? Got another caller in the queue, but if you want to finish up.
No, it's Julia, but that's fine. I'll be checking out your site for sure, and thank you so much.
Lovely to talk to you. Thank you, Julia.
Lovely to have you call in. Take care, Julia, and good luck with your crystal work. Take care.
Thank you.
Namaste, Julia. All right, now we have a frequent regular caller. Greg Mason 3, you are on the air. How you doing? You're from Pennsylvania, is that right?
Yes. Hi. How you guys doing?
How you doing?
Hi, Greg.
Go ahead, talk to Diana.
Yeah, my question is, one of the things that I'm trying to work out is, on one hand, I'm getting these downloads that seem of a pure spiritual nature, full of light. But on the other hand, it's as though I'm tapping into some local consciousness that involves some needy, depressed people that are coming in from different locations. And it really seems to drag me down to the point where I don't have enough energy to get both to help,
Okay.
And when I'm trying
Yes.
And whenever I try to dislodge it, it seems to sometimes increase the hostility, which makes it worse. But things are getting better as I'm making new friends.
Here's a few things. Here's a few things that you can do. One is, you're way ahead of the game, Greg, by knowing that some of it is collective consciousness that you're tapping into, or that's affecting you, right?
Yes.
And the other, you can feel the light and the love of the higher realms pouring in with the new energy codes coming in. So when you're feeling the collective consciousness, you can just use that prayer that I said earlier, from the great God being that I am. You feel that?
Yeah.
I call in a clearing on all levels, all dimensions, all timelines. I call in a clearing of my physical and subtle bodies. I call in a clearing of my energy field within this home. Also, anchor a shield of invisibility and protection around this home so that only light and love and healing energies can come to it. So you have the knowledge to differentiate. And do you dowse? Do you do any pendulum work or dowsing or any way to get definite answers?
I've tried it before, but usually it's I'll make my own meditations up to kind of zone in on whatever I'm working with. They seem to work better.
Okay? But what I'm saying is to get a definitive answer of what's coming at you. Another thing that I sometimes use is the violet flame. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I've used that before.
Yeah, that I find that quite wonderful. I've used it in whole countries when we're in different countries and lifting energies from ancient conquistador energy in South America to a lot of the wars from the warlords in many different time periods in Japan, etc. Earthbound spirits, lifting that up, is calling in Saint Germain, Archangel Raphael, Kuan Yin, all the beings of the violet ray to blaze up violet flame in around and through us and around and through this entire force field. We ask that the violet flame now go out through this radio station into the hearts, the souls, the houses, the land, the grids of the earth, all over, wherever this is touching, all over the earth. We call forth and send out violet flame.
Amen.
And so be it, and it is done.
Now, I have found out that in some cases it's been a good source of information to find out what's wrong with an area. And the thing is, though, what I'm looking at is the divine solutions come, you need that extra energy to build the solution rather than to try to cure one person at a time. If you kind of understand what I'm...
Not exactly. Say it again. Say it in a way what you're saying that sometimes your energy is low and that you don't have the energy to really create the new?
It would be, for example, if you knew that there was going to be a lot of sick people, in advance, organize a hospital. In the same way as if there's a lot of darkness in an area, you might work out establishing a spiritual group that can withstand and overcome the darkness that's in an area. That's right. What I mean as far as the building part. But yeah, you're right on with the violet flame, and I'll make sure.
And when just even one person wakes up, really anchors their God presence into their physicality, into their form, and they're guided by that, they can shift a whole city, they can shift a whole country.
Yes.
So that's why I really encourage, lots and lots of water. Incidentally, with water, you try to drink half of your body weight. So, for example, if you're 150 pounds, you're drinking 75 ounces of water a day at least.
Okay.
And drinking lots of purified water, clearing it with things like, incidentally, I mentioned object clarity on the interview earlier. Object clarity really has the ability, there was a test, not in the United States, but there was a test in Canada that was testing people with blood tests and seeing 40% of heavy metals actually being released from the body using object clarity, just the minerals itself, not even with the water filter. So it's time. We have so much with the chemtrails and the spraying, so much heavy metals, so much stuff, and stuff with it in quotes, that it behooves us to be our own healers, take the healing energy back into our own hands. For example, when I have my yerba mate in the morning, I make this mixture of herbs. It's called, my calcium tea. I use oat straw, horsetail, nettle, alfalfa, mix them together, have a whole jar of that always ready, and while I'm putting in my French press, my loose yerba mate, I'll take a tablespoon of that and put it in. So I'm getting calcium, healthy calcium as well into my body. It's just learning how to take care of ourselves. I have recipes on my website I'm putting on of how to make your own toothpaste. with coconut oil and pure baking soda and essential oils, or face cream.
Okay.
I know this may not interest you that much being a male, but it can and it should.
I know. I've been getting a lot of messages over the years about our environment and permaculture, and that it seems like there's going to be a lot of advancements that are already here when it comes to both natural building materials and houses that heat and cool themselves and grow all their own food. And I believe that that's going to keep pushing. So.
Yeah. Earth homes and hay bale and cob. I study them all. I love them.
Yeah, I think it's just going to keep getting better.
I agree as we wake up. As we wake up, whatever we create will match our frequency. And if we have a frequency of love, we'll attract that to us and other things that will create conscious houses, conscious eating, conscious relationships that support each other to be all that we can be. Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you for doing all the work you're doing with yourself, Greg.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for calling in. Anything else?
But no, just bless you guys for doing the show, and thanks a lot.
Oh, thank you.
Call in anytime, Greg. I love your support. You're a great fan.
Okay, thank you.
Take care. All right, Dana, we got just a little over 20 minutes to go. Try to keep the show to 2 hours. If we have to go past 8 p.m. Eastern, just so you can finish a thought or something, that's fine. It's just 8 p.m. is when the live feed will go off. It says here in your bio that you are a clear transmitter of higher cosmic energies with direct connection to angelic and universal light realms. Now, that's kind of I hate to make this show sort of a personal issue and all, but there's a couple of people that are on the other side that I'm trying to, would love to be able to communicate with if I could, if I had the ability to. The first is my paternal grandfather, who died 15 years ago. Some woman who had the ability to communicate with entities on the other side told me that when I had orgone chips in my house that I put on computers and cell phones and other things that were emitting EMF frequencies that were harmful, I put those chips on them to neutralize the energy. Some of those chips were disappearing, and I called the people who sold them to me, and the guy, it was actually a John Thompson, a guest on my show from the past. He gave the phone to his wife. He thought maybe she might know, because she's actually had some problems with missing pendants and all. She told me that my paternal grandfather, who was on the other side, was talking to her and telling her that my spirit guides and guardian angels were taking the stones and the chips, from me in an attempt to wake me up to the fact that they were there and that they're going to protect me and that I don't necessarily need to have those chips there. And I think they actually were around yesterday when, because my job is moving to a new location not too far away, and I was putting some chairs together. There were some spare bolts for the chairs, and I remember taking the bolts out, the spare bolts, and lining them all up. And then when I turned my head one way to put the chair together, I turned my head back the other way, and one of the bolts was gone. And I can't help but wonder if it was the angels. And another person that is on the other side was a 28-year-old girl who I was friends with back in 2006. This is before I woke up to the fact that the world is an illusion. Had some great times, but she unfortunately suffered from addiction, died of a heroin overdose, and she had an addiction problem. She was a party girl, had a lot of friends. Everybody loved her, even though she had a few legal issues and all. And now she's gone on the other side, and she actually had 3 children. So that's what's really, really devastating about this. And I told everybody on Facebook, on her fund and all, and also on the funeral fund page, she's not. Her body may be gone, but her heart, soul, essence still lives on, because she's infinite consciousness. Now, the fact that she had some legal issues and all, like DUIs and such, and had addiction problems and all that and whatnot, she probably has some karma to resolve, but I can only assume that she is still on the other side, even though she may have to resolve some karma for the stupid mistakes she did in her life, and especially leaving 3 beautiful children behind. But if I wanted to communicate in some way with my paternal grandfather, who told me that the angels are taking my chips, and this girl who has a lot of friends who would love to hear that she is alive and well on the other side, her heart's a lessons anyway. Is there any way that you would be able to do that in some way, like not on the radio now, but sometime maybe off the air? And if not you, do you have any advice for anybody who is in a position I'm in and would like to do something like that with loved ones and friends who are on the other side?
Yes. What you're really talking about is a spiritualist. There are people that are specialized in speaking to dead relatives or friends that are on the other side. There is no death. There's been so many examples of the fact that there is no death. A friend of mine just a year and a half ago died in Shasta. A wonderful angelic musician that I knew for 20-something years, Eric Berglund. And I happened to be in Florida at the time, and he passed on here in Shasta, and he was in my kitchen saying bye. You know, he was there. His presence, his energy, he was there. We often did exchange healings. We had a lot of the same organizers around the world, and when he would come back to Shasta and we happened to both be here at the same time, you know, we would do healings and balancings on each other. But many times when someone has died, I have felt them say goodbye. There is no death. The veils are, even as the energy is raising, the veils are getting thinner and thinner. When and I love England. I feel like a citizen of the planet. You know, every time I've been to a different place, I can feel being at home there. But what England in particular has a lot of spiritualist churches. And if you look in the yellow pages in Google, you'll find them. And then just find somebody that's really good at, contacting passed on relatives. My gift is opening fields of possibility to very high realms of energy. And therefore, the beings that come in to the session, to the room, to the conference, even a session on the telephone, anywhere, that energetic is of a very high frequency and nature of love, and a lot gets happened, a lot gets done very quickly. Many of the sessions are like many sessions in a session. So my gift is that, not actually communicating with your grandfather, for example, but anchoring a field of possibility and then working with those beings of light that come in to do whatever that person needs in the session, in a clearing, in whatever, a conference that I speak at, anything, workshop. And it doesn't matter even what the workshop is called. I do workshops on self-healing, on quantum rejuvenation, on birthing a new human. They may have many names, but it's literally all about anchoring this very vast field of energy where people can get in touch with their own higher self and God presence. And enormous healing can happen. Not just the hit of energy, but a permanent shift in frequency.
Okay, so I'll captain that you're not the kind of person that is an expert at communicating with deceased loved ones. So I'm not going to bother calling you or anything like that. Okay, that's cool. I'll try to talk to someone else who might be in regards to speaking to my paternal grandfather and this former friend of mine. But let's get back to your work. I'm seeing some other products here, fifth dimensional products. We already talked about the CDs and such. But how about the photo sets? Now, when it comes to photo sets, every single day I watch a 3-minute video from Mind Movies, which has catchy music in the background, and there's 6 different videos. One's courage, then there's their friends, there's this inner peace and loving, and vibrant health and wealth. Those are the 6 ones, and they all have relative pictures that are supposed to connect with that. That's Mind Movies, where they flash across the screen with catchy music playing and phrases and words and sentences. saying I am an attraction, a magnet to wealth, and I get healthy foods all
Right.
the time and whatever and all that. Is that somewhat related to the kind of photo sets that you do, or is your photo set thing completely different?
Well, when they look at the lightteam.com, they will see a section in there of fifth-dimensional energies, and that's what you're talking about right now. And other than the CDs, you will also see the photos, and I send them out in different sizes. But I have a 5x7, I believe, on the website, and many people have brought them around the world as altarpieces, energetic, with the orbs, with the beings of light that have come on the camera, radiate a beautiful energy. That's what that is. Just radiate a higher frequency energy. Again, the word frequency has come up a lot, or high energy, because that's the name of the game right now on planet Earth, is with our food, with everything, even in the clothes that we wear, in the bedding that we sleep in. I will not have anything that's not natural. For example, flax, linen, silk attracts a higher frequency into our body. They're antennas that attract the higher energy. So on my bed, I will have sometimes a silk sheet or a silk pillowcase. I will have 100% cotton only. And with my quilts or my warm, it's just 100% cotton. The clothing that I wear, I will only wear natural fibers. Everything that we're doing is stepping into a higher frequency. The food that we eat, the water that we drink, the biomat that's supporting me as I sleep at night. It's all about frequency, isn't it? It's all about energy, and I really got that message home when on the 11/11 in 2001, when the angels and the master beings of light prepared me for a full month, working with me day and night, and raising my frequency so I could actually bring the energies in when the portal opened. And I saw that all we are, literally, all we are is energy oscillating at specific frequencies. All we are is energy, and it's purifying and clearing the energy.
No question.
Yeah?
Just have a question from the, well, finish your thought there, and then I got a question from the chat room.
No,
you were saying everything.
No.
Okay. Question from Supernatural Radio in the chat room. Does Diana use purple energy plates? Plates. And purple energy plates. You know what those are? Do you use them?
Yes, I do. I've had them for years, and I got them as a gift from the man that made them. He's already passed on, but he lived in Arizona, and his name was Ralph Bergstresser. And Ralph was really special with creating subtle energy healing machines and other things, Mikowski machines and purple energy plates. I actually have one. I'm looking at it right now, covering a lot of the technology wires under my desk, so that, it's not, when my feet are down under my desk, the purple energy is radiating at me instead of all the technology and wires. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Also, says you offer advanced energy healing sessions over Skype and the phone. There seems to be a little debate here. Some psychic mediums and healers would not prefer to do a session over Skype or the phone. Others, such as my faithful fan Sean Cohen in the chat room, say, well, I do it over the phone all the time. It doesn't matter. I had a psychic medium named Farusha who was a guest on my show, and she says she never does it over the phone. I don't remember what the excuse was that she gave for why she doesn't do it, but are you flat out can you come out and say it doesn't make a difference? Don't be scared to do it over Skype or the phone. There's no reason to worry about that. Or is there perhaps a reason?
All right, listen. All right, beloveds. I have been doing healing sessions for over 35 years, and I have so much of the work happens over the telephone or Skype anywhere in the world. And no, it doesn't make a difference. People are in Mount Shasta, or if I happen to be, someone organizes a workshop for me in a different city or a different state, then the sessions are in person, or a different country, the sessions are in person usually. But otherwise, they're anywhere in the world. And when you're dealing with higher frequency energies of light and love, and higher consciousness, and the soul and the God presence, it doesn't make a difference. There is no time or space. And no, it's lovely. I love technology, and I'm happy to have Skype, and I'm happy to have telephones that I can do the work with and touch, the hearts and souls of many in that way.
Okay, but what about the issue of technical gremlins? Because Skype, they say, has a lot of technical gremlins. The NSA uses Skype as one of its most commonly used surveillance platforms, for crying out loud. So some would say that's one reason why it might not be such a good idea. Well, I mean, you shouldn't use that as an excuse to not use Skype. We're not going to let surveillance keep us from talking about something like this. But the whole issue of technical gremlins affecting your session, what do you have to say to those people that are kind of concerned about that?
Oh, my gosh. Truth is, I have zero to hide. I'm an open book. I have zero to hide. So, if they want to listen in, they can listen in, but there's nothing to hear.
Well, no, that's not the issue. The issue is whether or not the technical gremlins, like whenever you're having some sort of an issue in regards to maybe glitches or something, like the screen starts fuzzing or something like that when you're trying to talk, or like you can't start a session because it'll disconnect after a little while. Some people use the term technical gremlins, but that's actually a
Andrew,
metaphor.
I haven't had those kind of issues, so it's not anything that I worry about.
Okay.
It's not even in my consciousness.
I don't think people should worry about that either.
Yeah, it's not even in my consciousness. I'm happy to have the technology. I'm grateful for it.
Okay. And I guess there's about 7 minutes left on the live feed. So let's finish up with what the future holds for us. Now, you seem kind of big on the fifth dimension, it seems, from your site here. A lot of people say, even though, yes, it is unavoidable that we'll have to go into the fourth dimension as we go into the fifth, but they say we will, for all intents and purposes, skip over the fourth and go straight into the fifth. And there seems to be a little debate as to what exactly constitutes a dimension or a density. I mean, people use the terms interchangeably sometimes, but even people that say dimension and density are the same thing, even they differentiate between what dimensions and densities are. I mean, some people would say that what dimension or density you're in directly correlates to the extent that you are a service to self or service to others entity. And for that matter, I've heard some people say that once you get up to the seventh dimension, there is no more service to self. I mean, the fifth and the sixth dimension, they're supernally wonderful compared to what we have here. But even in those dimensions or densities, there's still some degree of service to self behavior by the entities. But once you get to the seventh dimension, there is no more service to self. It's strictly service to others. And as you go above that, then there's the service to others behavior is even more prominent. And some people also debate as to how many dimensions or densities there are. It seems like the numbers 12 and 22 seem to be the common fields. Like George Cavazos and some others say there's 12 dimensions, but some, like Indigo Child Matteo Stefano from Argentina, he says there's 22 dimensions. When I talked to George Cavazos about that in my private session with him way back in the day, he said that, looking at my 12-dimensional model construct that I personally view, I do imagine, I don't remember where exactly he said the part was, but I can see a part in there that someone might see as being 10 different layers, but I see it as one layer. So I could imagine maybe that's where the 22-dimensional people get their interpretation. But even then, there's still some debate over whether or not dimension or density correlates to service to self, service to others, or whether it correlates to how physical or non-physical your body is. Like as you get higher in dimension, your body turns more crystalline. Like some people say when you get to the fifth dimension, we'll have crystalline bodies. Well, no, some others say we're still going to have like physical bodies, but no, it's not going to be like crystalline. We need way more time, for lack of a better word. Now, the time is not an illusion. It is an illusion, but we need more time, for lack of a better phrase, than just in the near future to get to a non-physical state. So sorry for I've babbled long enough here, but there's 4 minutes left on the live feed. I'd like to give you maybe 3.5 because I do have a couple things to say at the end here to you. What's your take on the future of humanity? Maybe give your take of what dimension and density is and what you see in the near future and the far future.
Okay. I think we're going through a very wonderful time in the evolutionary process of the planet right now. We are really stepping into closer and closer into a golden age, into a fourth dimension, and then going into a fifth. We're not going to jump right into a lot of what you had mentioned when people are debating whether it's 22 dimensions or 12 dimensions. That's a lot of hearsay because they don't really know. And there's been so much illusion in a lot of the information within the New Age that's confusing at this moment in time. I think that we need to just continue to keep working on self in service to others and really staying on that focus of how may I serve. A lot is going on right now. A lot is being cleared away. A lot of people are clearing clutter out of their homes, out of their closets, changing jobs, even jobs in metaphysical areas that they've been very successful at, that's old to them, that no longer serves them. Much is being shifted right now. Much is being shifted in relationships, in family relationships, in interpersonal relationships, in relationship with self, of who we thought we are. There are so many people that are just standing and saying, okay, what is my next step? Where do I go from here? And all that they've done in many years no longer is appealing, no longer has the passion. It's a time of really taking stock and anchoring more fully. And as I said earlier, getting into the meditation, getting into the clearing of the physical. Because a lot of times when we clear the physical, when we do short fasting, for example, a lot opens up, a lot of information opens up of our next steps. But it's not even projecting. It's not even important whether there's 12 or 22 dimensions, or whether there's a ceiling around the Earth because of the consciousness on the Earth, and we, about polluting other planets or other universes with our consciousness at this moment in time until we further wake up. As far as density and dimension, every level or every dimension, every higher dimension has less density. It's less dense. So I think it's a time to have a really clear direction of waking up, of bringing that higher self again into form. One of the ways that's very easy that I do it is at times, one of my meditations is just sitting and doing deep breath work and just breathing in full body breath and releasing out of the mouth, in the nose, out of the mouth, and just keep doing that and bringing that oxygen, oxygenating our cells, oxygenating our brains, and then just getting into this state of silence, of deep level silence, of not even looking at, not even trying to get answers, but allowing it to come, just allowing us to be in a state of receiving, of like that chalice that's that the higher realms, that our own God presence, that our own higher selves, our vast, multidimensional selves can bring into us. And if we can quiet the mind, we can start hearing, we can start seeing, we can start knowing much more clearly, not just what this teacher is saying or that book is reporting on or how many dimensions, but what's really important for us. What's really important? What is your unique gift that you have brought to the planet that wants to be revealed and uncovered and activated, fully activated at this time? You know, what is the next steps? And reaching out to your own God presence and to the Father, Mother, Godhead, and just working more clearly with those energies. Am I speaking loud enough, Andrew?
Yes. Nobody can hear you unless they called in at the moment because the live feed is up. But you're speaking loud enough, and I guess we'll bring the show to an end, and I'll do that by telling you the same thing I tell all of my guests. Diana Gazes, you are a fascinating individual, and I have no doubt that if I wanted to, I could do another show with you. But one of my goals with this show is to get as many different guests on my show as possible before I give any one specific guest double dips, as I feel that is the fairest, most impartial, and most informative way of doing a radio show that seeks to expose the true and false nature of reality. So that does mean, I regret to say, I probably will not be having you on my show again, but that's only because I need to give thousands of other fascinating individuals the chance to have some glory on my show. However, I will make sure this info in the show gets spread far and wide. I will upload it to YouTube and also spread it to some other social media platforms so more people can view it, upload it to Facebook and all the rest of it. So this was a great interview. I'll keep your card, I guess, if I ever want to talk to you about something, and I hope you see an increase in spike in product sales, and increase in your pocketbook money as a result of this interview as well.
Well, can we close also by giving, Andrew, first of all, I'd like to say it's a total pleasure working with you.
Thank you.
And again, thank you for being all that you are and all the work that you're doing on yourself and touching and sharing so beautifully with so many. So if people want to reach me, I have a Google phone, 530-918-8712 to find out more information about our sessions or products, the biomat, the laser, etc. And may I just give the websites again as we close?
Yes, they're in the bio, but by all means, tell them again.
So, again, the waterfilterhealth.com has a really wonderful water filter and also minerals that can be used with or without the water filter. DianaGazes.com has lots of superfoods, lots of tips on how to make, face creams naturally or toothpaste or whatever. And it has a lot of high-frequency healing tools, such as the biomat and the the laser, the biomat, etc. And the lightteam.com shows a lot of my spiritual work, lots of photographs from around the world, and the multidimensional spiritual photographs that are available as well. And the DianaGazes.com and the lightteam.com, LIGHTEAM.com, also has my 3 CDs, Ocean of Love, Ocean of Freedom, and Transmission on the Slopes of Mount Shasta, and Fifth Dimensional Experience DVD. And to all, it's our time to wake up. So I love you, and I embrace you, and we're in it together, my friends. We're in it together, and we're going to see a beautiful golden age on this planet.
No question, and we're definitely going to see an accelerated rate as the Archon control system collapses and more people wake up. So wake up the sheeple, and don't be scared to fight those who try to keep us in fear. But fight in a peaceful, non-compliant way, of course. All right, so Diana, namaste, take care, and maybe I'll run into you at a future time. If I ever go to Mount Shasta again, I'm sure I'll definitely.
Absolutely. Keep in touch.
All right, take care now. Later.
Thank you. Same to you. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, folks, it's the end of this show now, and next week I thought I had a guest, some person who I met at the Mount Shasta conference who runs a Zen shop, or maybe I met them at the Free Your Mind conference. Well, some person who runs this Zen shop in New Jersey. I was going to learn all about Zen, the science of Zen, the metaphysics of Zen, and everything Zen, and on 11/11, which would be the next show next week. But if I can't get a hold of them, I'll try to get another guest. If not, you'll be having me listening to just me for a couple of hours. I'm sure I can find something off a website like in5d.com or maybe the website Airwood. A lot of people think of Airwood as a psychoactive substance site, but that's stereotypical, and all they do actually have some other things on metaphysics like drumming, sweating, ceremony stuff, and spiritual stuff, not just the ins and outs of psychoactive drugs and all the rest of it. So I used Airwood once for a episode on entheogens, but this will be a completely different thing. So I do have some options if I have to do the show by myself, but I'll try to get a guest, Zen guest or not. So that's the end of this show. I'll definitely have a show next week, regardless of who it may be. This is Andrew Fisher signing off from Nature of Reality Radio, and namaste. Enjoy the rest of your trek throughout infinite consciousness, everybody.